Hello, everybody. Dr. Stephen Greene here from Make the Grade, and once again, I have the honor of having Cheryl Delonzo here with us. Cheryl's from ACE College Advising. Hello, Cheryl.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. As you may recall, Cheryl was here a short time ago, and we talked about the whole college admissions process. It's been very well received. So I wanted to get her back here ASAP to talk about another really important topic, which is the essays on the Common Application.
Yes.
So why don't you just bring everybody up to speed a little bit, especially if this is their first child going through the process. The Common App, what is it? Where is it? How is it? Who is it? What's it all about?
What's it all about? The Common App or the Common Application website, which you can easily get to at www.commonapp.org, is a hosting site for over 500 colleges where a student would actually complete one major application.
Okay.
And then each member college, as you can see on the screen, you would go down this list of member colleges to see which of your colleges are on this common application. They would also have some separate questions that they may ask a student in addition to filling out the regular application. It saves students a lot of time, a lot of energy to redo the same information over and over again. So this is a way to streamline that process.
And one thing we learned last time is you recommend students apply to 7 schools.
7 schools. So not every school is necessarily on the common application, but many probably will be. But some common ones are not. And in our area, many students apply to the University of Pittsburgh, a very well-known, great school, not on the common application. There's really no rhyme or reason to figuring out which schools will be on there. You just have to actually go and look for yourself.
So if nothing else, it's a time saver.
Absolutely,
because a lot of the information is duplicated and
Yes.
they're redundant and all that jazz.
Right.
Okay, so this is how you find it. So the Common App, to me, appears to be a collection of kind of your name, rank, and serial number, where you went to high school, what kind of classes you had.
They ask you everything.
Right, it's very, very comprehensive. And the one place the student really gets to strut their stuff a little bit is with the essays.
Exactly.
Correct? Okay, so let's get right into it here.
Right. So let me just back up for 1 second. Last year, the Common Application changed their essay prompts. So students that were applying for fall of 2014 saw brand new essay prompts.
Oh, it's pretty sneaky.
Right. So there's 5 essay prompts total.
Okay.
However, the Common Application also said for this coming application season, we're going to use the same 5 prompts.
So that's handy.
It is very handy for those of us in this field because we're used to these 5 prompts.
So this way, a student knowing now it's May.
It's May.
This application, most people are going to do
August 1st. It goes online.
Right, and you can get it done hopefully by September, October.
I'm hoping earlier than that. Sure.
So they really have May, June, July, August to prep a lot of this stuff.
Exactly, and I'm going to talk about when to actually get started versus what to be doing now in May.
Perfect. Maybe we should just have a quick disclaimer that neither of us have anything to do with the Common App.
We don't.
From a financial standpoint.
Not at all.
Other philosophical.
Not at all. We don't.
It's just a handy tool.
But I've used it so many times with so many clients. In fact, all clients have at least 1 to 2 to 7 schools that are on the Common Application. So I'm very familiar with it and the prompts.
It's just a reality of life in the college admissions world.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the prompts.
Right.
Let me make a wild guess here. There's 5 prompts.
There are 5 prompts.
Amazing,
There's 5 essay topics.
Okay.
The other thing that they changed, there were 2 major things that were changed on the Common Application essay prompts. Number 1 is it's a 650-word limit. Before, it was a 500-word limit. So for those students who love to write, 650 words is a very positive thing. For students who don't enjoy writing so much, this can be very daunting to them. We'll get to that in a second. You only choose 1 essay prompt. I get that question sometimes from clients. Even though there's 5 prompts, you only choose 1.
For every school or for most?
For every school on the Common Application, you choose 1 prompt.
So just to be clear, there's 5 potential topics
for the Common Application.
Right, and student would pick one which they chose to pick.
Exactly.
Oops, I jumped
so
down here.
That's okay. Right. So we're talking about 650 words total.
Which isn't really that much.
Well, it depends if you like to write. But here's the thing that you have to remember: we don't want to go to over 650 words. As I say to clients, when you go over that amount, what you're telling the reader is that you didn't follow directions.
Yes.
So
Okay.
650 words.
Okay. So let's get right into it. Topic
Great.
number 1.
Topic number 1 says, some students have a background or story that is so central to their identity that they believe their application would be incomplete without it. Now, again, we have to be very careful with this because it has to be the student's story,
Absolutely.
not the story of their parents, not the story of their grandparents. It has to be something about them that they feel is so important that they must share it with admissions officers. So one of the things we would talk about is, to a student, I would say, does this sound like something that you would be able to write 650 words about? And we're going to get to brainstorming and things like that a little later.
So, for example, I work with several students who do a lot of volunteer work. One of them in particular went to, I think it was Ecuador for the summer, build houses for local people. There's really nowhere that's going to show up, certainly an academic record.
Right.
So this might give that person a chance to...
It might be because it may have changed them in some way. So we want to make sure that they're able to have passion for that, which we're going to talk about a little later in the presentation.
So this is basically the student deciding something went on in their life that's really made a difference in their life that they want people to know about.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
And it doesn't have to be something positive, by the way. It could be something negative, and we'll talk about that in the next topic.
Or something.
Right.
Okay.
So topic 2 says, and this leads us to that, recount an incident or time when you experienced failure. Now, this may sound like a very negative prompt, but the college admissions officials are not looking to say, oh, that kid failed, they're out. No, they're looking to see what you gained from that experience, what you learned, and how you changed yourself because of it. So you have to ask yourself, a student would say, how did it affect you and what lessons did you learn? Does this sound like something that happened to you? I have a lot of students. This is one of the most popular topics that my students choose, believe it or not, because maybe they didn't make a team.
Right.
Maybe they injured themselves while competing in a sporting event.
It's like the famous story of Michael Jordan got cut from his 8th or 9th grade basketball team, I forget.
Right.
No, it's true though.
Right. So, what did he learn? Practice more, whatever the things are. So I get a lot of that. That's one of the top 2 popular prompts for whatever reason.
Great.
So a student should think about that. Topic 3, reflect on a time when you challenged a belief or an idea. What prompted you to act, and would you make the same decision again? Sometimes I think about this like that TV show, What Would You Do?, where, there's a hidden camera and they set people up to react to something that's morally, ethically wrong, and the people stepped up and did something, said something. That reminds me of this. I only had one client last year who chose this particular topic. I think that you'd have to actually really have felt a passion for that because challenged a belief or idea would mean that you stood up to probably an adult or an authority figure and acted on that. So we would want to really make sure that that's something that occurred that they could write 650 words about.
All right. So there's obviously, you've only done 3 of the 5. There's a pretty broad
range.
Yeah, so somebody's got to find something they feel passionate about writing about.
Absolutely. Okay. Topic 4 actually was the most popular one from last year's clients. I would say probably 80% of my clients chose topic number 4. Describe a place or environment where you are perfectly content. What do you experience there, and why is it meaningful to you? I had students choosing all different types of places or environments. And one of the things that we need to remember is that the place or environment could just be a moment in time.
So it doesn't have to be like your bedroom.
It doesn't have to be your bedroom. Although I had students choosing basement. I had a cheerleader choosing when she's thrown in the air during their performance, and that moment in time when she's the one up in the air. I had students who were active in acting who talked about being on stage. So there are many places or environments where you're perfectly content. The thing about this particular topic, though, is you have to be able to explain what you experience and why it's meaningful. So that's part of the answer to this, is being able to actually answer that part of the prompt.
Interesting. And the last one.
The last one, discuss an accomplishment or event, formal or informal, that marked your transition from childhood to adulthood within your culture, community, or family. So this is a little broad, certainly, but it has to be something that you felt changed you from being just, let's say, a young adult into more of an adult. So that's sometimes difficult. Now, I did have one client choose this last year, and they discussed this time when their parents left her alone to watch the house for a weekend, and there was a major storm, and the dogs were going crazy, and the electricity went out. So things like that where she felt like she took on a lot of responsibility. So that could be something. It doesn't have to be major. It doesn't talk about that. It has to be a major thing. It just has to be major to the client.
Absolutely. So there's a big area of things they can talk
Absolutely.
about. Is it possible or permissible to kind of go off the menu, so to speak?
No.
So you must pick one of these
Yes.
five.
You
Okay.
must, and that's what they are looking for. These
Okay.
5 topics. They common application took away topic of your choice. That's no longer
I
an
know
option.
I don't know how long ago they did, but I know that was there for a
Right.
while.
They took
But
that
now,
away.
now some, not to get off topic, but some non-Common App schools may allow you to
Absolutely.
do that. Right. So the essay doesn't begin and end with what we're talking about
No,
today.
but let me
But-
just say that if you wrote a great essay for the common application,
use it.
you may be able to use your same essay
Or versions
for
of
those
it.
other colleges,
Got it.
depending on what they ask. So
Okay. So let's shift gears a tiny bit and let's talk about, you've picked a topic,
right.
or if you feel you picked a topic, let's really briefly work through how we're going to now create a
Right.
compelling
So what I ask
essay.
clients to do is to take a look at those 5 topics. Brainstorm first. It's very, very important that brainstorming be the first part of this, because all I want them to do are to jot down some words for the essay prompts that may appeal to them, and let's see where we go from there. We don't want to start this too early, so the brainstorming could take place at this time of year, let's say May, June, the brainstorming. We don't want them to start writing their essay so far in advance that they're bored of their essay by the time they actually have to submit it.
Right.
So we're going to brainstorm, and we're going to consider 1 or 2 of the topics, write down some words, jot down some ideas, and
So
take
it's
a look at that.
Not that much different than any other piece.
No.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So now we brainstorm. Now, to me, this seems very important.
This is the part that the Common Application had complained about a couple of years ago, is that the passion wasn't felt in some of the essays. The writer must have passion for the topic, or the reader isn't going to be able to feel that, and the essay will fall flat. We want to grab somebody's attention from the beginning of the essay and keep their attention through the 650 words. So passion has to be a major part of it. So that's why we don't want the student to start writing this 4 months in advance, because the passion
There's
probably
passion
will
on a
drain.
couple of levels. You have to have passion about your topic.
Yes.
But you have to be able to convey that in your words
Exactly.
and your delivery and your flow and all the things that go into good writing as well.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Okay. And so let's these are kind of some ground rules.
Right. So one of the things that I would work with the students after they've brainstormed and they're going to start writing their first draft.
Okay.
Number 1, do not go over the 650 word limit.
That's a hard ceiling.
Right. That's it. Proofread yourself more than once or twice. I encourage students to read their essay out loud to themselves. Oftentimes, this is where they're going to find things that don't make sense, don't flow properly, grammar is wrong. So that's something they need to do. And the last and most important thing is, after they've done this, they need to have someone else edit and make suggestions with the student. The Common Application 2 years ago said that they felt that these essays were over-edited, meaning students had more than one person editing with them, and they could see that because the student's voice got lost. So the student should choose one person. That could be somebody like me. That could be somebody like you.
Right.
That could be somebody in their family that's an editor.
Or a trusted teacher.
A teacher, a parent, if they want them to do that with them, to edit and make suggestions on how to strengthen that essay. It's very, very important to not just have the student do this without anybody else.
Now let me. I'm going to flash this up on the screen. So obviously, there's some things that a student needs to do. This isn't going to happen in a day.
Not a
So
day.
planning, just like the college admissions in general,
Right.
you want to give yourself time to get this right.
Exactly.
Let me just ask you a couple questions. And
Okay.
these may be your opinion, may be factual, I'm not sure. Does it really matter? Is there any statistic that would say essay 1 gets people into college more than essay 3? Is it a
No.
wash?
I think what it is how they're able to verbalize their feelings, how they're able to construct the essay,
Convey
and
the
what their
position.
message is. I think that's the bottom line. I don't think it matters so much which essay you choose.
Okay. So there's no everybody who wrote number 2 got into Harvard.
No.
Okay. I mean, just if it was,
if I knew that secret,
Right,
I would be
exactly.
telling you today.
Well, but you get look in my business and your business. There's a lot of misinformation,
Absolutely.
or a lot of semi-fact or things that are true. One, you're not true anymore. And I know at least in the test prep game, there's all sorts of things. Well, I heard the test in October is the easiest test, or I heard, if you write your C every time, you get it. Yeah, there's a lot of things that probably some minimal basis in fact that just aren't really true. So this is where a student can go next. So obviously, they can consult with a professional like you. Briefly, what would that involve? Because this would be, I assume, part of your
It is.
larger admissions piece.
It is. It's part of what I do with students. I would be giving them some strategies in writing for each of the essay prompts so that they actually have a strategic plan written down, and if they follow that plan for that essay, then that will help them lead them to writing a better essay.
Okay.
So we would be able to do that.
So then they get evaluated.
Right.
Okay.
And I would help them evaluate their essay, and we would move forward with the editing and suggestions. A mock essay pre-write. I haven't had a student do that yet, but I have to say that students that are applying to some colleges that might be on the Common App and also have additional essays required, like the University of Virginia, let's just say, many of the other colleges have additional essays or at least paragraphs that need to be written. We would work on those as well.
Okay.
And, fitting this into the rest of the application process, we would take a look at colleges that aren't on the Common App that we might be able to use that same essay for, which I think is important. It is the student's work. Students ask me all the time, can I use that essay? Of course, it's your own work. You didn't take that work from someone else. So, of course, they can use that essay for that purpose also.
I work with some students, more so in private schools than public, where they actually have classes in college, and they write essays like this. I've seen it. It's all over the map. Some are fabulous. Some are,
right,
frankly, not so strong. But timetable.
Timetable.
Is this, you said you don't want to start too early.
No.
Obviously, we don't want to start August 29th either. July?
What I would say is that a student right now, May, June, needs to be brainstorming. July, they need to be writing. August, we're going to be submitting. Okay. So I would say give yourself a good month of that. Now, some students won't need the month. They enjoy writing. It's passionate for them.
They got a topic.
They have a topic. It's easy. Not a problem. We can, edit back and forth, and we're finished.
Then you get the ones that no matter what you do, it's painful.
Right. It gets painful for some students, unfortunately, but writing is a big component of college. So this is a big test for them to be able to do that.
Now, let me ask you another thing. This is one of these urban legend things.
Okay.
I have had people say to me, summarily, it doesn't matter what you write in the essay, because the colleges get so many essays and they only have so many people reading them and they're so overloaded that they don't even read them sometimes.
Untrue.
I don't agree with it either. But
untrue. I'll give you a perfect example. I have a student.
Please dispel this right
now. I will say a college, let's say, that is huge. Let's say a Penn State, for an example.
20,000 apps a year, right?
And way more than that. Probably 120,000 applications a year.
Okay.
They are not on the Common Application, and their essay is optional. So I would have to say, maybe in that case, certain essays are read if the student is borderline to get in or not. But I would also tend to tell you that at the University of Pittsburgh, where they have thousands and thousands of applicants, I had a client who, on their acceptance letter, the admissions officer wrote in their own handwriting something positive about the student's essay, and the student was accepted there. There are certain schools like American University where if you go to their open house, they will tell you we read every scrap of paper you send us. They feel it's very important.
I don't think that's just rhetoric. I'm not saying it is.
I don't. I think that because admissions has become so competitive,
right.
that there is an obligation on these colleges to read everything.
Let me ask you one last thing. And by the way, as you can see on the screen, this is how you get a hold of Cheryl and myself. And I would encourage you to. The first step with this stuff is complimentary.
Absolutely.
Everything that goes on here, there's nothing you got to worry about. You're getting expert advice. I heard a rumor, maybe not, that the colleges are going to allow kids to do video submissions. So, and I know it's coming out of left field for you. This is
not
unrehearsed.
new. That's actually not new.
Well, I know it's not new, but I'm saying like part of the application might become them because so many people have access to webcams and phones and all these things of them being able to submit like a 2-minute, maybe a little movie of themselves,
right.
or a personal little anecdote on video.
So you can read on each individual college website whether or not they actually accept that.
So this is already in the pipeline to some degree.
People have been doing it already.
Okay.
I would say that's probably not going to be in lieu of writing.
I don't think either, but
but some colleges don't want to see that. It's too much for them to technology-wise, time-wise, whatever it is. So some are open to that, some are not, and you can read about that. Individual websites will tell you we do not accept video from students. You know, you do see those videos posted all the time where the students dressed in the garb and all around the room are the, the paraphernalia from that individual college.
This is why I want to go to Duke.
Right,
the whole room is blue and whatever, right.
I don't know I also don't know how I feel personally about seeing an applicant and having somebody make, a subjective assessment of a student based on who they are, where they're from. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think that this needs to be a more objective process, and by having people writing, I think does make it a little more objective than subjective.
Got it. Well, obviously there's guidelines, and there's this format, and that's what we're really here to try to get people facilitated with. We're going to wrap this up, but I'm going to give you last word here. Anything you just want to say in closing, just to stress or re-stress or something that we've spoken about today?
No, I think that either one of us certainly are great resources for students who have writing questions, need editors, and I would encourage people to contact both of us for our individual strengths and to move on with the process for the fall application process.
So the timing is about right. This will hit the viral world sometime around Memorial Day, if not sooner, so we're right on course.
There you go.
Well, let me thank you for coming into the office today, Cheryl. Every time I meet with you, I learn something new, and I hope everybody out there and the rest of the world is as well. You can reach Cheryl at ACE College Advising. Here's her phone number. There's her email. There's her website. There's her Facebook page. Actually, I don't have my Facebook page in there. I guess maybe you should put that there. I have one. You can look it up. Thanks again. What would be the next big topic here? We've done admissions in general. We've got the essay. What would be the next one in queue here, you think?
I think we might want to do something about creating a student resume.
I was going to say that's a good one. And then I was thinking maybe something about the timeline of what you suggest people do.
Right. It's hard with the timeline because we get these last-minute families who then become in a panic in September. That wouldn't be
we're talking about best case scenario.
Best case, of course.
All right. Well, listen, it is time for me to move on to my day. Listen, thanks, everyone. I hope we'll be in touch. Cheryl, thanks again.
Thank you.
And that's it for today. Thank you.
Do you think